Hey guys, today I want to go over what I think are the worst game covers of all time. I'm not including well-known covers such as the first Mega Man and Night Trap because I want to talk about more obscure titles. Number 1. Pac-Man. This is a cover for the Atari 8-bit computer port of Pac-Man. This definitely falls into strange artistic licensing. There are a lot of things that seem out of place in this cover, and one of the largest of them is Pac-Man's head. It's huge. His body looks so thin that it could crumple under the weight of that bulbous head. Pac-Man looks like he's trying out for an 80s basketball team. And are those Pac dots? Is this dude's running from ghosts, and all he can think about is, oh boy, I better eat this flying pepperoni while I'm here. Number 2. Street Warrior. Have you ever played Streets of Rage? Yeah? Well, you're not gonna want to play Street Warrior. This game is like a badly made, unnecessarily 3D Streets of Rage. And as you can see on the cover, there are 2 overly muscular, digitized men and their underfed canine companion. Honestly, even playing this game, I cannot figure out if the guys on the cover are the good guys or the bad guys. I just have no clue. I don't know. All I know is that the steroids that these guys do, they're probably gonna Hulk out soon, you know what I'm saying? Number 3. AMC's The Walking Dead video game. The Walking Dead is a well-known show across the world. So they figured, let's just put our logo on the cover, slap some generic wings in the background, and call it a day. This is an example of a company that assumes everyone knows what the games are going to be about. Yes, Walking Dead tells me zombie game, but I don't think this cover is enough to make me want to pick this game up from a store shelf. They at least could have attempted to make it feel like a survival horror game and not Season 5 of The Walking Dead on DVD. Number 4. Tongue of the Fat Man. I had no idea what this game was before this review, and the cover was not giving me any hints. Tongue of the Fat Man, created in 1989 for MS-DOS, is an arcade-style one-on-one fighter where you're fighting in Mundo the Fat's illegal fighting palace. Did you get all that from the cover? No? Well, I'm not surprised. The cover shows a partially covered face with purple lipstick, Sharpie facial hair, and nostrils for eyes. And oddly enough, this is an accurate representation of the in-game character. This game was later ported to the Genesis, but it was renamed to Slaughter Sport and also given a new cover because Sega knew just how ridiculous the original cover was. Number 5. Zelda's Adventure. As many of you probably know, Nintendo had a failed deal with Philips to use Nintendo's licensed characters on games for the Philips CDI. But what came out of the deal were 3 failed Zelda titles and an arcade-styled Mario game. As the first game to feature Zelda as a main character, people were anxious to play this game. But based on the cover, one would assume the game's about someone who's locked in a tower, like the first Shrek movie. That's right. Zelda's Adventure is actually the first Shrek movie. This game has far too vague of a cover to be found interesting, and sadly, the game inside was so bad that Nintendo pretends it didn't even happen. Number 6. Paws and Claws Pet Vet. As you can see by the cover, someone just recently learned how to Photoshop, and it's painfully obvious that all of the cover's elements were subject to image manipulation. And again, I'm awestruck at what the developers have been putting on the market. This game looks like they cut photos out of a magazine and glued them on the cover of their game. Bad covers are almost excusable for older titles, but when you get a game cover for the Nintendo Wii that is this bad, I can only expect the game to be worse. Number 7. Ghost House. Looking at this title, if you assumed that it would be a generic platforming Ghost House game where you get attacked by bats and the usual monsters, you'd be right. The cover of this game is so generic that they just used a picture of a guy holding the game card. This is good if you were confused about the contents of the case, They could have bothered putting a generic rendition of Dracula on the cover with a few cobwebs and maybe a bat. I think an improvement would have been putting the box art on the game cart to create a never-ending loop of bad game covers. And lastly on our list, Snow White and the 7 Clever Boys. When you look at this cover, you might think to yourself, how did Disney allow them to make this? And my answer is, oh. Despite how horrific all of these characters are, and they are horrific, not a single one of them actually makes an appearance in this game. They all end up being traded for low-budget, two-dimensionally animated counterparts who look nothing like the original Disney characters. I can't even consider this a game when it consists of a crude 6-minute animation and then generic mini-games. I find it difficult to believe that Sony allowed this game to be made for their console as late as 2007. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will try to put out a new video next week, so be sure to subscribe to see next week's video. If you're interested, check out my Twitter, my Facebook, where I post my videos and other interesting content.